Hi, I'm Karen Garvey, your intuitive coach. One of the most common questions that I get from clients and audiences is, what exactly is intuition? And I think it's pretty much a catch-all phrase that people use, but they don't really understand the full depths of what it is. So let's start out by me indicating to you what my definition of intuition is. I see intuition as the conduit to universal wisdom, the conduit to your own eternal understanding of reality, of yourself, of your nature. Intuition is that pathway back to truth. It's the pathway back to what you knew when you were born. It's an interesting thing to think about. Am I the one that's intuitive because I can tell you who your guides are, or give you information of something that might happen in the future, or I can pop up one of your past lives and tell you intimate details that could be even verifiable? Yeah, that makes me intuitive, but I don't corner the market on intuition. We are all intuitive. The challenge is that we live in a world in which the intellect is enamored. We're passionately connected to the idea that intelligence, academia, what we consider to be logic and analytical reasoning are the pathway to a person being a quality person and that person having a quality life. Because of how enamored we are with the intellect, we live in a world also that subdues our intuitive nature, usually from birth on. You never really hear people raising their children talking to them about things like, why'd you come here? What did you bring with you from your eternal wisdom and your journey? What's your soul's intention? How are our relatives who aren't here with us today? This is really not typical language at all. The more typical ways that people behave is when a child does indicate any connection to our eternal journey or universal wisdom, is that they're kind of encouraged, either kindly or not so kindly, to not talk about things like that, like seeing dead people or having an imaginary friend and so on. Because we want to stay in what is socially acceptable, which is a logical frame of reference in our choices. But intuition, I have discovered, is far more valuable as a resource than the intellect is. Now, having come from a background where anything intuitive was really not encouraged at all, like it is in so many communities and countries and households, I too valued academia and logic and rational thinking and all of these things that we're so crazy about. So my foray into developing my own intuition came as an enormous surprise. I knew that I wanted to become happy, and I also knew that anything I had succeeded at in my life, I succeeded at because I learned how to do it. So I figured if I learned everything, I could learn how to be happy as well. The one thing I wasn't aware of was that to learn happiness, which I did, you have to be able to open up that intuitive conduit back to the knowledge that you have locked within you. So there's a lot of ways to develop intuition, but it's a worthy pursuit. And it's worthy of putting as much effort into it as you can passionately commit to, because the more you scrape that conduit clear and the more vibrantly you are able to tap into non-physical resources for information, the happier your life is going to be, the more abundant and free, creative, and happy your whole life will be. So first of all, don't listen to anyone that tells you, I have a gift. I am a master of this because I was born this way. And you don't have this gift, so you have to come to me for information. People who do that, they might have access to intuitive information, but they're living in ego if they tell you that you can't do it. Perhaps it's not the same format, or perhaps you don't use the same sense developing the intuition that you have available to you. But it doesn't matter what sense you develop or what sense pops. You can do it, and I'm going to tell you that you're already doing it even if you don't recognize how. So the first step in becoming more clear intuitively is simply to accept that we are eternal. When you accept that we are eternal, you have this body of knowingness that many things happened to your soul, with you, for you, and around you, and many things will happen after you return home to that state. You accept that this is a piece of your eternal journey, which means that you can tap into information that's not exactly on this date and in this space. A quick way to kind of see what I'm talking about is if you think about the term deja vu. You know, we've all experienced this feeling of, I remember this is familiar. I'm not where I am right now. What deja vu is it's accidentally stepping out of the place card that marks this time and this space. Because you may not have developed an ability to open that moment the way I can, you see it shut down fast and you're in a state of confusion as to what happened. So you just say, oh, I got deja vu. But you know it was significant, and it was significant because your consciousness stepped out of time and space. You may have started to journey forward. You might have journeyed backward. You might have journeyed to a moment that's going to happen in a few minutes or something that happened 10,000 years ago. But simply because you haven't learned that intuition is available and you haven't trained yourself how to allow your consciousness to travel, it gets shut down. We snap back into the belief that we are logical, separate human beings. So the first way to begin to develop your own intuition is to let go of the misbelief and the doubt that you too do not have consciousness that can roam for benefit, or that you are not able to access other souls who are not in human form right now to get insights and information and inspiration and unconditional love. So the very first and most important step is to suspend doubt. If you were to have met me before intuition became a passionate part of my experience, you would have seen how limited I was in my perceptions of what was possible for myself or anyone else. But post-intuition development, I know I am limitless, and I've created new abundance materialistically, with my body and my health, in relationships with other people. So the byproduct of becoming more intuitive is the evidence. But you don't have to just listen to me. Seek your own evidence. Go out there and read things that make you curious. Read about near-death experiences. Read about people whose consciousness has traveled to past lives and evidence that those past lives are true and authentic. Read stories about people who have explored levels of consciousness, even analysis of their dream world that have helped them put the pieces together of their own life in a way that's more meaningful and purposeful. There's so much evidence out there to support the concept of the value of intuition. It won't be that difficult for you to allow yourself to suspend doubt. And when you suspend doubt and start to witness and experience the miracles that happen on a day-to-day basis by allowing intuition to be more of a wonderful part of your life, you'll be so happy that you did suspend that doubt. Along the lines of suspending doubt, it's also important that you accept that you are worthy, okay? It's so interesting how we have this hierarchy on this planet of who's better and who's worse, you know? Like, this is the most important person, and you probably see yourself somewhere far from being the most important person. This hierarchy of how good or worthy or special someone is, this is entirely man-made, but it does leave us as individuals with the perception that we are less than to some degree. You know, if you have a decent level of confidence, you may perceive yourself as being better or better off than some groups of people. But even then, you're probably walking into other environments or watching other people and thinking they're way ahead of you. They have more, they know more, they're more famous, they're more whatever you value as a piece of evidence of success. But none of that is true. You are important. You are as important as everyone, and everyone is as important as you. If you use this as an affirmation on a daily basis and start to remember it, you can get back to understanding that you are worthy of having communications coming from past loved ones, getting signs from the universe, getting information to help you make a decision, getting validation about certain ideas that you may want to pursue, and all of a sudden things are starting to line up in your favor. All of this is evidence of intuition, and it's easier to bring all of that in and become aware of it when you recognize that you are worthy of the universe working with you and for your benefit. All right, in addition to remembering that you're worthy and suspending the doubt of our eternal nature, the third most important step that you can take on a regular basis, which will activate almost the whole process of growing your intuition without you even realizing it or without you putting much effort into it. And that step is to quiet your mind. I know this one is huge. It's so big. One thing that I like to share with people right away is I don't meditate. I never seem to have success with it. And I also don't practice yoga because I can't. My spine is fused. So the good news to you is that means that you can quiet your mind without doing what I consider to be the two most reliable, easily duplicated methods, which is yoga and meditation. If either one of those works for you, please, please, please go ahead. I oftentimes wish they were pursuits that worked for me, but they don't. So let's talk about how else you can quiet your mind and why it's so important. Think about something that you love, that you're really excited about. Like, let's say you like to buy old cars and then restore them. All right. Now you have a one-car garage where you can tear a car apart and then rebuild it. And during the process of restoration, it's important that you grab other parts from all over the country. Okay. Now imagine if this garage is so packed that when the new car door comes in, you have nowhere to put it. You have to leave it in the driveway or stick it on the roof. Are you going to be able to fix this car? No, you can't even remove the old door and put the new one on it. Our brains are like that. They get jam-packed. They fill up with so much nonsense, and most of it is stuff we don't need or use. And most of it is what other people want us to know or expectations of how they want us to be or to live. Quieting your mind empties that space. It's like expanding the garage so that when you want the new door, the door can come, you bring it in the garage, it's dry, it's safe, and there it is with plenty of room for you to put the new door on that car anytime you want. And quieting your mind doesn't have to be an enormous process either. As soon as you make something a chore, you're less likely to commit to it and you're less likely to make it a part of your life. So what I recommend is that you find different ways to quiet your mind so that it's just a liberal part of your life experience. The process itself is fun, so you will commit to it. So let's talk about some of the ways that you can do it besides meditation and yoga. Anything that is a process that has a beginning and an end quiets your mind. An example would be taking a shower. When you walk into the bathroom and you start the process, you have a routine. Whether you shave or you shampoo or soap up or towel off, you have a routine that you pretty much stick with time and time again. And you're not likely to shave any minutes off it, even if you were trying to hurry. So once you're in that bathroom and that door closes behind you, you're actually quieting your mind just during that period. And it's a great time to even keep a little note paper on the sink, because really good, inspired, intuitive ideas can happen when you're taking a shower and you've pushed out any other contrasting focus that might be going on in your life. So if you shower, you're quieting your mind. What I'd recommend is that you try to be more mindful of enjoying listening to things other than worry, tasks, plans, schedules, or that other stuff of day-to-day life. Another example would be just a big sink full of dishes, right? When someone goes over to the sink and they turn on the water and they start soaping up, they don't generally wash 2 or 3 dishes and then run and go do something else and then come back and do a few more. They turn that water on with the intention of getting through all of those dishes. So there's a beginning and there's an ending. In that time period, we tend to not worry. We tend to get into the task. We tend to be a little more daydreamy. And that's one more way that we can quiet our mind. You know, I know it's really exciting to find the new gadget that will do another chore for you and so on. But it's good to include chores in your life, because doing things like stripping a bed and putting on clean sheets and putting on new bed clothing, it is a great opportunity for you to quiet your mind. So think about doing a few more chores that you might have foregone because they're worthy. Another way is to engage in any form of the arts. It could be music, it could be painting, sculpture, photography, it could be poetry, it could be composing, it could be playing an instrument. Don't worry about whether or not you have any talent. It has nothing to do with quieting your mind. I know for me, one of my most intuitive experiences is if I'm standing in a museum and I alone am interacting with one piece of art. As long as I'm not listening to the commentary of other people and it's just me and that art, it's a very intuitive experience and it's a very good way of quieting my mind. So any way that you're interacting with music or visual arts or literature that helps you to suspend your thinking self, you're quieting your mind. Naturally, quieting your mind in nature is a great idea. It happens to be my favorite way. I might have been more of an indoor person for decades, but as I became more intuitive, my curiosity about the world in which we live, the natural world in which we live, became something that brought me peace and something that just wildly ignited my curiosity. So one of the ways on a regular basis I quiet my mind still to this day is by interacting with nature, by hiking, by kayaking, by walking in nature, and sometimes just sitting outside for 15-20 minutes listening to birds or focusing on the spots on a ladybug or watching a praying mantis and noting how still it is. Even watching a leaf free fall or seeing its pattern close up. If you engage in the now of the natural world around you, you will quiet your mind, and it will actually bring your body to a position of feeling more peaceful. Physiologically, it'll give you a sense of calm that can lead to even more vibrant health. And there's more ways as if that's not enough. You are always quieting your mind when you sleep. That's when we actually kind of surrender to the right brain, which is our conduit to intuition. But the benefits that we get by sleep, we also get enormously by daydreaming. let yourself daydream. And that means don't go on your phone when you're at a traffic light. It means don't scroll every time you're in between phone calls. Put down that device and just sit. If you are grabbing a few minutes every now and then throughout the day, you're going to find that you have more peace because you're not jamming everything up with way too much stimulation. Just sit. Just relax. Don't be that person that's at a traffic light and people are always beeping at you because you're getting one more text out or you're scrolling through one more social media minute before the light changes. Relax. Another way tons of people quiet their mind is by interacting with animals. You know, whether it's your puppy that jumps into your lap and you're petting her and playing with her, or it's riding a horse, or it's taking a dive out in the ocean and looking at all the aquatic animals. But being with animals can really bring you that sense of quiet and calm again. Likewise, choosing any part of the world to fixate on can do the same thing for you. I spoke about being in nature, but we also have the vastness of the night sky. Do yourself a favor, throw a towel out on the lawn on a clear night and just lay there for 10 or 15 minutes looking at the night sky. There are so many ways. They don't cost any money. It's just a matter of making it a priority. And my suggestion to you is that making it a priority should be a priority, because prioritizing you and your calm and the development of your intuition will most definitely help you to become a happier person. So I gave you 3 important tips today to begin the process of letting your intuition grow. None of them are complicated and none of them are terribly time-consuming at all. And in my honest opinion, they're all fun. So there might not be any resistance to you implementing those 3 suggestions. One thing to remember overall is that becoming more intuitive allows you to become the most respected authority over your own life. So it is a worthy pursuit. Let's see if you can intuit what I'm going to say next. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll be the first one notified for more intuition development tips. Ultimately, I will guide you into communicating more directly with the love and support that you have that's non-physical. And also I'll help you interpret, understand, and enhance your interaction with the miraculous world of signs around you.